shop tour, Ben. You gotta do a shop tour. Fine. Time for the shop tour. So, I have attempted to do a shop tour video now twice. I did a whole video, edited it, and then right after I finished it, I changed the layout of my shop. So I did it a second time, and now I have realized that there's a problem with shop tour videos, and most of the time it's just talking about tools and not talking about why you put things where you are, what you were thinking, what you want your shop to be. I'm gonna try and do one of those videos. So when we came to look at this house, we pulled up the driveway and I thought, wow, it's a nice looking house. And it is. It's an old house. It's 1791. Needs a lot of work. Needed a lot of work. Still needs a lot of work. But I saw this building in the back. And I thought, oh man, wouldn't it be amazing if that building came with that house? Because it wasn't on the listing at all. So like you, we were looking for a house. We weren't necessarily looking for a shop, but we did know that we were going to need to have a shop of some sort. So we're going to need to build one or whatever. But this building just turned into the perfect shop. We're right next to the road. That's about the only downside. But I call this building a 3-carriage building because I believe it was probably initially built for farm equipment or something. And each one of these bays is pretty small. The middle bay you could park a car in, but that would mean only having shop use of the side bays. I decided to wall off this bay, and my tractor and snowblower and the bicycles are in there. It's not ideal. Sometimes I wish I had the whole building, but it's certainly nice to have an area dedicated to garage type stuff. Excuse the mess back here, because this is like where we hide things from the neighbors. I've got my steam box out here. It's very convenient to have it right here. And now we're in the shop. So, we had the building. Thank God. The house we wanted had the shop building we wanted. Ah, what a dream come true. But the building was pretty rough. It was just framing and siding, no insulation, no nothing. It was 15 amp service run out here. Basically an extension cord. I had to insulate. The perimeter is insulated to about R8. Ceiling's higher. I insulated as much as I could afford. I really concentrated on air sealing. Electrical, 100 amp service, trenched and run out here. Boom, I'm good. All my electrical needs are solved. At that point, I probably could have moved my machines out here and gotten to work. But for better or worse, I make my living traveling to other people's wood shops and filming them. And I get to see a lot of shops. And I get to be inspired by a lot of shops. And I wanted my place to inspire me. So I probably spent the better part of a year making this a nice place to be. I didn't want to just have it be just blah, it's a wood shop. I wanted to step out here and go, wow, what a nice place. And honestly, every morning I turn the lights on in the shop and I go, man, what a great place to be. It's been a lot of work and it's been a lot of money, but it's been well worth it. I mostly drew inspiration from Dave Fisher's shop. He has this beautiful shop, lovely painted walls with, I believe, pine sheathing. It's just a gorgeous shop. Every hook that he hangs a tool on is carved and just perfect. So this is my version. Pine shiplap on the top, painted plywood on the bottom. That just, it's a nice color. I like the way it looks. All of the tool hangers I've tried to be very intentional about. I tried to display my tools in a way that makes them nice, makes them out there, ready for the grabbing. And honestly, I don't have a tool chest. I don't have anything like that because I don't have that much space. And if I don't use it, I get rid of it. So if it's not out on the wall and I grab for it I find a way of doing without it. And this shop isn't that big, so if I had every machine that I wanted, I wouldn't have room to work out here. I wanted to make sure that I could walk. I wanted to make sure that I had room to work and to be comfortable and I wasn't tripping over things. So I wanted to make sure I was not frustrated when I was out here. I wanted to be inspired to work, not frustrated. Yeah. Weird shot, I know, but this is the best way I can think of to give you a vantage point of the whole shop. A little bit is hidden over here behind the drill press. There's a storage area. So I kind of think of the shop as bench area, storage area, milling and machine area, techno gadgetry / storage area, and honestly, my 9 to 5 work area. Ever since COVID lockdown, we have been working from home. Our house is small, so I have been working out here. And it's kind of been nice. Be able to do a quick glue up while you're waiting for a file to export or whatever. It's great. So that's the general layout of the shop. If you'll see, I can walk all the way around without tripping on anything except this stupid vacuum hose. I have a few extra jigs lying around here, but it's not crowded. It's comfortable. If I had more machines, I would, sure, maybe be a little bit more efficient in my processes, but I would have to pull them out and put them away every time, and that's gonna negate any efficiencies that the machine buys me. As it is, except for my planer, everything's set up ready to go. And I don't need to do anything other than turn the machine on, maybe plug it in. Right now I am sharing one outlet for the table saw and the joiner. Swap the plug, turn it on, go. This layout is working really, really well for me right now. And because there's a 0% chance that nobody asks, 18 by 15 with a 4-foot, like, I don't want to call it knee wall or something, but a 4-foot area I can't stand in. So 18 by 15 and then 4 feet of storage. So this is my bench area. This is where I spend most of my time working when I'm woodworking. I have 2 benches, this guy and this guy. Neither one of them very traditional, definitely neither one of them sexy by today's standards. But both of them do the job that they need to do. This one was a cast off from the old Fine Woodworking shop that it is just a regular old bench. I know nothing about it. It is rickety. It is too light. The dog holes aren't 3/4 of an inch. I don't know why. The vise over here is somewhat functional, but I really like it. And there's one specific reason for it. It doesn't have a front stretcher. It doesn't have a front apron either. And sure, a stretcher or an apron would lead to stability, but this bench isn't going to be stable anyways. And with the lack of a front apron or stretcher, I can sit at it. So if I am sitting down doing something precise for a long time, this is where I do it. I set up instruments here. I do moderate woodworking tasks here. There's nothing heavy duty that's happening here. All of the heavy duty work that I do happens here on the back bench. And this back bench is the best. It is definitely not a sexy bench. It is a solid core door cut down with a layer of 3/4 inch plywood on it because you got to be able to take Instagram photos on it. It has a 2x4 probably front apron, which is way too deep. It doesn't need to be this deep because it is attached to the wall. It is at this point a part of the building. When I insulated this back wall, I anchored into the concrete a 2x4 that this gets screwed into. I knew that I was going to do this. I put this bench together in a few hours on a Saturday afternoon, and it's awesome. I've got one of those Sheldon vices, I think they're called, that Megan Fitzpatrick made famous. It's great. I really like it. It's not quite as precise as I really want. I'll replace it with something else sometime. But I picked this up for like 10 or 15 bucks at a flea market, and any day of the week I'd make that purchase again. It is thick enough to use holdfasts on. They would probably work better on something other than plywood and solid core door, which honestly is pretty much just particle board. I have my chisels and my layout tools right up here in a window rack, which I saw Chris Schwarz do that a long time ago, and I always thought it looked cool, and I was doubly right. It looks great. I love having things right here. This window ledge is handy. I need more light in this area, but I really, really recommend two aspects of this bench. I recommend building a bench into a wall because it doesn't move when I hand plane. It doesn't move. It doesn't move when a car hit the shop, and a car did hit the shop one time. Nothing moves on it. The other thing that I did was it's very high. This is 33 inches. This one is 39. And I knew that I would be carving a lot for hours on end. And I wanted the bench height to be good for carving. I hand plane on this bench all the time for 2 or 3 minutes at a stretch. Why are we all making our benches fit for hand planing? I don't hand plane that much, do you? If you do, then great. If you're like the rest of us, you don't hand plane that often. A higher bench is a lot more comfortable. Try it out sometime. So we got to talk about a couple of hand tools, and if the shop's on fire, there's two that I'm grabbing. This one is a draw knife that belonged to my great-grandfather, my son's great-great-grandfather. He was a farmer in Sandy Hook, Connecticut. It's just 5-7 miles away from where we live now. Believe it or not, my cousin lives at his house. And this draw knife was from him. I don't know what he did with it. I do remember my father telling me a story of him getting in trouble one time for sharpening it. My father got in trouble. And when I got it, it looked like it had been sharpened by a child. I can't read the maker's mark, but it is a phenomenal draw knife, regardless of who made it. I just love everything about this knife. It is just a fantastic knife. It works great. If it didn't have any sentimental value to me, it would probably be one of my favorite tools. It has a world of sentimental value to me. Definitely my favorite tool. The other one is this Miller's Fall egg beater drill. I bought this 5 years ago in Healdsburg, California. We were on a road trip. We flew out to Oakland, drove up the coast to go to a family reunion. And along the way in Healdsburg, we stopped and we were in an antique store, and this was priced for $15. And at the time, my son was 1.5 or 2. And I thought, oh, I need an egg beater drill because he needs an egg beater drill. And I bought it. Price tag of $15. In the process, I dropped a $100 bill out of my pocket somehow, and I never saw that $100 bill again. But for $115, I have this Miller's Falls. I use it all the time. When my son was small, we'd go down to the basement and he'd drill with it for hours. Always a special tool to me. There's definitely other hand tools over there. They don't matter. Like I said, though, if I don't use them, I find a new home for them normally. I like my tools to be out, to be one grab away, and they are sharp and they're ready to go at all times, and they're a lot of fun. Machines. I love machines. They're a big part of what I do. I have Mike Pekovich's old Unisaw. It's a great saw. I use almost exclusively the Arc Shark guard. It's the riving knife and a guard that goes on it. If I am doing anything, any rips that I can use the guard with, I do. But honestly, I don't use the table saw that much anymore. That first bench works as my... This bench does work as my table saw outfeed. Most of the time, blades down, and I've got projects on it. I've got this beautiful Powermatic PM60. If you have seen a Fine Woodworking article or video about setting up a joiner, it's probably this very one. I think this thing just got set up over and over. It was 3-phase. I had to get a new motor for it, change out the mount, all sorts of stuff. It was a real huge pain, but I have a killer joiner now, and it was worth it for that. A Jet Performax 1632 that ever since I've gotten into lutherie, I use all the time. Delta lathe, old Rockwell Delta. Again, I got that from Mike. I think he gave that to me. I use that as a disc sander most of the time. I don't turn that much. That's why it's jammed in the corner. Back here is lumber storage and some random cameras and just whatnots. Right here, this is my most used tool by far. This is my Grizzly 055 LX bandsaw. I love it. I have zero complaints about it, except I'm not nuts about the roller bearings. I think I would prefer guide blocks. They're just easier and simpler. I have a General International teeny tiny dust collector directly set up to this machine. It's my most used tool, so I thought it's where I should put my dust collection. And the thing is too small to collect dust on anything else. So it does an okay job. It's fine. But these are my machines. I have a DeWalt 734 that lives under my desk. And besides that, I have some sanders. I have a rigid sander and a grinder and an old Woodcraft grinder, which is awesome. I am not a purist by any stretch of the imagination. I want to do things efficiently. But I also, like I said earlier, I want my shop to be efficient. And I would love a 15-inch planer. I would love a 15-inch planer. And I tried to figure out a way of getting one in here. The money was an issue, but I would have found a way of making the money work if the space for a 15-inch planer was here, and it just wasn't. But like I said, everything is set up, ready to go, and that's how I work efficiently. So this is my techno/extra storage area. I have a Shapeoko 2 CNC. It's a little one. It's like an 11 by 11 cut area that the Arduino is, I believe, toast on. I use it more often than not as an overhead pin router for hogging away material on archtop instruments. I also have a Creality Ender 3D Pro 3D printer that is unbelievable amounts of fun. This is like my DIY handyman kind of tool area. I am a big fan of these DeWalt T-Stack drawers. I still have them. Fun fact, like 7 years ago, I posted a video to YouTube reviewing these, and it's got like 40,000 views. Screwdrivers, my most used pliers and wrenches up here, and just randomness. Socket set. This whole thing, if I really wanted to, can come out and it opens up like a hand truck, and I can wheel it into the house if I'm working on the house a lot and I want all of my tools with me. I try and keep everything organized. I try and keep everything the Adam Savage order of first retrieval kind of thing, where you're not opening a drawer to get something that you use a lot. Oh, this is also my sharpening kit. So I just pull that drawer out. I have my spacer block set up for my honing guide right here. I use a combo of diamond stones and diamond paste and some semi-chrome for stropping. But that is my sharpening kit. Lubricants right there. Everything is right where I need it to be. Screwdrivers. Boom. So I recently did a video for your favorite woodworking magazine and mine, Fine Woodworking, on how I store hardware, particularly nuts and bolts, and how I organize things. I'm a little nutso about it, and honestly, it's a pretty good video, so I will leave a link to that video, which is on the Fine Woodworking channel, below. But this is the area where I store all my hardware. It's also where I have my rigid oscillating spindle sander, a grinder, some random storage of sanders, routers, all the accessories live here, sanding blocks. Oh, here's one thing to mention. The whole front of this shop is doors, remember. These doors do open. I wanted to have them available to open to bring machines in and lumber and whatnot. So this is about 10 feet of door that swings open. And unfortunately, that means I can't really hang much from it. So this is unusable wall space, other than cool looking things. Over in the hand tool area, I walled that off. That door is no longer functional. The next owner could easily take that wall down, but that wall is solid. This one swings open. I open it up when I'm waiting for my son to get off the school bus. So that's one little bummer. I also don't have a whole lot of wall space over here because of my work area. And that's just the way it is. I wish I had more wall space. That's what I'm trying to say. So that does it for the tour. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them below. If you want to know specifics about a tool or something, I'll do my best to answer them. I know that there's a lot here. I know that this is a very special place for me. And honestly, I know how lucky I am to have such a wonderful place to work in. And I really do remember what it was like to have a workbench shoved in the corner of a basement, and then eventually to spread my shop throughout that entire basement. But that basement always got an inch of water at least once a month in it, and all of my tools rusted because of it. I know how hard it can be to find a place to work or to be inspired by the place you work in. So if everybody watching can find a little grain of inspiration or an idea that helps them, that's all I want out of this video. If if everybody finds a way of being a little bit more inspired in their workspace, it might be a poster on the wall or a coat of paint or a lamp that you really enjoy the light that shines from it. I don't know, whatever. But find something that makes you a little bit more excited to go in the shop, a little bit more zen or whatever. And I think your woodworking will benefit from it. All right. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.